go ahead and go to your areas and just keep an eye on stuff. Like coffee shop, make sure it's, yeah, and then you just gotta, you already put your trash cans in Devon, right? Yeah. Cause right after this is over, we're gonna have to haul this bumblebee podium straight over there. And it goes at the end. Yeah. By the stairway. We have to go back to that back way over here. Yeah, okay. I'll see you guys down in a few. I'll go down there now. Okay.
Please be seated. Good morning. Welcome to the 58th commencement in the 328th year of the college, and happily the 60th anniversary of this campus. And it's especially meaningful to be celebrating graduation with students from the Graduate Institute and the Eastern Classics program that have been such an important part of the history of this campus. Welcome to family members and other guests that are here. We have some water stations available at Weigel Hall and ESL should you need. And with that, I would like to welcome to the podium our Associate Dean for Graduate Programs, David Carl, for the presentation of awards and prizes that we will begin with.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I would like to read the awards both from last spring and from this summer's classes awarded to members of the Eastern Classics Master's Degree Program. For the Spring 2004 Graduate Institute Eastern Classics Seminar Essay, Teaching the Infinite, Ian Lewis. Don't go far, Mr. Lewis. Let me read the next award. GI Eastern Classic Sanskrit Translation Award, Spring 2024, selection from the Ramayana, Ian Lewis.
Welcome back, Mr. Lewis. Congratulations again. Sanskrit smile.
For the Spring 2004 Graduate Institute Eastern Classic Seminar Essay, honorable mention, Who Am I? Gus Kraus, I believe unable to attend or attending online. I want to thank those of you who are able to join us online today. Graduate Institute Eastern Classics First Prize Summer Essay, Empty Words on the Viewlessness of the Middle Way, Ian Lewis. And while he's walking up, first prize for the preceptorial essay, All This Must Pass Away, Valmiki's Lesson for the Rama in the Ramayana of Valmiki, Ian Lewis. And the Graduate Institute Eastern Classics honorable mention for summer 2024 on Nagarjuna, How Does One Teach the Middle Way, Samuel McGee. There he is. I knew you were here, Mr. McGee. And now I would like to welcome back to the podium our president, Mr. Sterling, to introduce our speaker for this morning's ceremony.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. I'm pleased to welcome and introduce our commencement speaker today, a speaker who really needs no introduction to our college community, tutor and outgoing Associate Dean for Graduate Programs, Ned Walpin. I was so happy to learn that he had been invited to offer this commencement address and that he was willing to share his reflections with us today. Mr. Walpin studied political science at Middlebury as an undergraduate and then at Duke, where he received his doctorate in 1998. Having written his dissertation on Nietzsche, I asked which work, and he said all of Nietzsche. So that's all. He joined the faculty of St. John's College in 1999. Beginning in 2010, Mr. Walpin has been called to serve in a series of leadership roles at our college. In fact, I'm not aware of any faculty member who has served in more. He served as assistant dean for 4 years, as acting dean of the college for 1 semester, as executive director of enrollment management, and most recently as associate dean for graduate programs for 4 years, concluding this May. As associate dean, entering office in the extraordinary moment of summer 2020, he helped navigate the college through the next 2 disrupted pandemic years, including the launch and ongoing success of our low residency master's programs, which have been such a meaningful expansion of the Graduate Institute. It's easy to forget and hard to overstate how demanding that work was in the 2020-21 academic year. All the while, through those 4 years, he kept teaching in both master's programs and occasionally in the undergraduate program too, wherever he was needed, wherever called to serve. That would not be a bad motto for Mr. Walpin, who has worked so hard and faithfully in all of these offices to support our college, our community of learning, and especially to support our students' learning. It has been a great blessing and privilege for me to work with him closely for many years, especially navigating those most challenging years from 2020 to 22. And it is most fitting that as he leaves that office, we get to hear his reflections for this summer commencement of the Graduate Institute. Please join me in welcoming Ned Walpin.
I'm going to put my regular glasses on. Oop, there we go. Morning, everyone. Thank you, President Sterling. It's also a pleasure to be up here with my good friends, Sarah Davis and David Carl, who is my successor. I'm not the outgoing, I'm outgone, G.I. Dean. But I should say you all are the stars of this show. I really want to express my congratulations to each of you, Masters of Eastern Classics candidates, as well as your families and friends who have supported you. What you all have done is truly remarkable. This is one tough program, am I right? Thank you. In many ways, too. You had to work hard to learn either Chinese or Sanskrit, read impenetrable texts, then talk about and even write papers to try to make some sense of those texts. That's hard, and it's relentless, and for that you should be rightly proud. But I want to talk about that other difficulty this program demands. It's a difficulty that I also have been struggling with, and for a long time. My guess is that my colleagues, or these and these, will readily volunteer their opinions on my lack of success in this struggle if you ask them after this ceremony. This struggle is with pride and vanity, or in other words, the ego. Of course, it's funny that unlike an academic address, a commencement address, as I understand it, is supposed to be something of a personal reflection that might be of some use to the audience. So I am now going to talk about myself, to talk about the fight against the ego. I leave it to you to decide if that is just vain. In my memories of childhood, I can't ignore the huge pressure I felt to succeed. My parents were the first generation in their families to rise out of deep poverty. Expectations on me were therefore sky high, both from my parents and from myself. Looking back, I'm somewhat convinced that I imposed this psychic intensity of this pressure on myself more than my parents did. What form did this pressure take inside of me? Anxiety and fear. I must succeed because failure is the enemy. I would let everyone down. I would be a loser. Everything I did because of this pressure was a means to an end. And the end, obviously, was a judgment of my worth, of me. I say all this not to use you as my therapists, but because I want to try to articulate how St. John's in general, and the EC in particular, has helped point me toward a different way of being, or a great liberation, and that perhaps you too have seen glimpses of that liberation, and can use that recognition to aid you in whatever you do next. In the approach of living that held me in its sway, ego is the protected fortress, and the outside world is the means for buttressing that fortress. Ambition is less about doing good than it is to be recognized as good by others. Vanity is the currency of life understood this way. Maybe none of this is surprising, as we see plenty of evidence all around us that most people live this way. Modern capitalism, even in its most extraordinary achievements, appears to be focused largely on individuals struggling to succeed and to be recognized as such. Art, also, is often subordinated to the ego. Yes, I listen to the Kendrick-Drake diss battle like everyone else, but I did feel a little soiled by it. And dare I mention politics as a place for enormous egos trying to manifest themselves? James Madison sadly understood a well-functioning government to aim not toward a general good, but to be a system in which ambition is made to counteract ambition. It's pretty base stuff. What I was doing effectively was living through this psychic struggle, where living is a kind of work. But let's be clear, my striving and my achievements were mated to my suffering. Yes, I went into academia and not business and law, but don't let anyone tell you that academia is fundamentally different than any other profession in its central motivations. Success is still understood as recognition, maybe not in terms of who makes more money, but in terms of who is smarter, more insightful, the winner of some debate. What I wasn't good at was play. I remember this one time in college when my housemate invited me to go throw a frisbee for a bit, and I said that I couldn't because I needed to get work done. He knew, which I couldn't see, that nothing I could get done in that hour was going to be more important than throwing a frisbee with a friend. Now you all, master's candidates of the EC, right in front of me, are likely ready to scream at me, "We know the answer to this problem." You know, for example, that Zhuangzi recites an old saying that goes, "The perfect man has no self. The spiritual man has no merit. The holy man has no fame." But come on, what are we supposed to do with that? My problem was that I was all self, not that I was approaching no self and needed just a little push to selfless enlightenment. It's here, however, that St. John's came to my rescue. When I first arrived 25 years ago, I remember shocking my friends from grad school with what I was teaching. There was no way they would teach a subject in which they weren't already experts. Grad school gave us the expertise to teach, we convinced ourselves. And our dissertations made us true experts, we thought, with a sense of gleeful and vain achievement. To succeed at St. John's, I had to entirely upend my sense of self-worth. I didn't just have to race to get expertise in a wider area than I had before. I had to start enjoying my lack of knowledge. Although it wasn't a foregone conclusion when I got here, for the first time in my life, I gave myself permission to play. For the first time, I was able to think without my ego simply controlling. I was able to take a deep breath. There are two things the Buddha tells us that are crucial to relaxing the tyranny of the ego. What's interesting to me is that St. John's attempts to enact them in its own peculiar way. The first relevant teaching of the Buddha is that study is fraught. It requires the instability of the self, and that not knowing might be the most intimate form of wisdom. As we learn in the final Nibbana of the Buddha, the mind that is invested with wisdom is fully released from the taints, namely the taint of sense desire, the taint of being, the taint of view, the taint of ignorance. Shedding taints, seeing the dependent origination of all our thoughts, opens us up to the possibility of seeing what the text itself might be saying, because we are somewhat free of those psychic fetters that block our insight. Oddly enough, if we read naively, such that we are open to the possibility of truth being found in any text, we quiet our need for certainty. The second relevant teaching of the Buddha is that compassion is crucial for any path toward relaxing the stranglehold of the ego. This too has been adopted by St. John's in its own peculiar way. We demand that we listen, really listen to each other, because new possibilities can emerge when we least expect it. I'd like to suggest that maybe even more importantly, we come to find in the care of the other something liberating. The pedagogical demand to listen more than talk evolves into an ethical demand that goes against the supremacy of the ego. If we really have care for the other, even the difficult other, and I'm sure each of you can think of a difficult other in your classes, we focus on ourselves less. Put together, these two crucial Buddhist teachings in the particular forms we find them here mean we play in our classes with each other. This play, I believe from my experience, and I hope your experience, can lead to a lighter way of being, marked by joyfulness and even love. I'm slow. It's taken me the better part of 25 years to really start to internalize this, not just in class, where it can get stuck in some kind of performative activity, but in life more generally. It definitely took my teaching EC classes to start to see this clearly. But I regard this as the greatest gift St. John's has given me, and I hope you can see it too. I should mention one more anecdote. When I left the GI deanship at the end of May, I was exhausted and happy to be done. Time to sit at home and do anything that didn't relate to St. John's and the GI. I watched TV with my wife and daughter. I should mention Good Omens is my recommendation if you need one. Thank you. Have dinners with friends. Read light fare. And so I picked up a light book that I hadn't read in a while in an effort to avoid thinking. I grabbed Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice because, well, why not? It's a romance after all. But wouldn't you know it, it dragged me right back to this problem of the ego that has been haunting me. I know, I should only be quoting from Eastern texts at your commencement, but no one has suffered from hearing a bit from this great Eastern author hiding out as a British novelist. For those who don't know, Elizabeth Bennet is a strong-willed young woman who doesn't suffer fools. She sees immediately that Darcy, a haughty, eligible bachelor, is worthy only of her disdain. Until, of course, she is compelled to question her conclusions. Now I'm going to quote from the text, but it's slightly edited for this purpose. She grew absolutely ashamed of herself. Of Darcy, she could not think without feeling that she'd been blind, partial, prejudiced, absurd. How despicably I have acted, she cried. I, who have prided myself on my discernment. I, who have valued myself on my abilities. Vanity has been my folly. Spoiler alert, she and Darcy end up falling in love and marrying. She had to overcome her vanity, her ego, and then she could experience love. Could it be that for all our hard work trying to understand this or that metaphysics, this or that political theory, this or that religious text, the most basic human work that the Eastern Classics program, and St. John's generally, forces us to engage in is to relax our ego so we can have compassion for and even love others. Now, I can imagine that some people are quietly thinking, well, isn't this an ivory tower speech that ignores the real world? Maybe. But I am convinced that our work on the self I have been trying to articulate is as important today as ever. In doing the human work here that you have done, you have given birth, yet again, to the idea that we humans can talk to each other, listen to each other, deepen each other, and experience joy and happiness in living, maybe especially when the world is so divided and dark. In their love, Elizabeth and Darcy affirm life. That's not enlightenment, according to the Buddha, but it is something important. It's a kind of health. Nietzsche actually refers to something called great health, which he considers to be a psychological and even philosophical condition of life affirmation in the face of a world that is sick. What I might add is that the texts you have encountered in the Eastern Classics program are the bases for our work. But you all, in doing this program, are the engine of this great health that Nietzsche propounds and that we so desperately need in this sick world. May your great health endure. May you help bring that ever-deepening life affirmation to others. May you help heal the world in the myriad ways you can. Again, my deepest congratulations and best wishes for your future. Thank you.
For the degree of Master of Arts in Eastern Classics, rise. The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Eastern Classics stand before you.
I, the Associate Dean for Graduate Programs in Liberal Education of St. John's College in Santa Fe, bear witness that these individuals have applied themselves among us to the programs of study in the Graduate Institute, and that they have successfully completed the graduate program in Eastern Classics.
In that case, Mr. Carl, we, the president, the deans, and the tutors of St. John's College in Santa Fe, New Mexico, bear witness that these individuals have applied themselves among us to the program of studies in the Graduate Institute in Liberal Education, that they have successfully completed the program in the Eastern Classics, and finally, that in this public session on this second day of August, 2024, they have reached the degree of Master of Arts. In witness of this, we have on this aforesaid day and year subscribed our names to these letters, which have been confirmed by the Great Seal of the College. By command of the Board of Visitors and Governors of St. John's College, I admit you to the degree of Master of Arts in Eastern Classics.
Will the candidates in the degree of Master of Arts in Eastern Classics come forward as each of their names is called?
And again, I want to offer congratulations to our graduates who are attending online this morning. Tanya Cameron Caswell, Annapolis, Maryland, attending online. David Somerset Christian, Lakewood, California, attending online. Kirk Alexander Clark, McAllen, Texas. Lily Rose Daly, Oakland, California, attending online. Grace Tyler Frank Rempel, Roanoke, Virginia. Olivia Anderson Gerard, Washington, D.C. David Harold Hoffman, Santa Fe, New Mexico. Tricia Kennedy, Adelaide, Australia. Ian Lewis, Marfa, Texas.
You only get one of these, Mr.
Jixiang Lin, Wenling, China. Duke Campbell Lausaway, Newcastle, New Hampshire. Devin Craig Lowell, Bentonville, Arizona, attending online. Stephanie Renee Spong, Leadville, Colorado, attending online. And before I ask Mr. Sterling to step back to the podium for final congratulations, hold on to your hats for a few more minutes, I want to offer my own congratulations and a special thanks to the family, friends, loved ones, and others who have supported you in your journey here. We all know, and reflecting on Mr. Walpin's address, I think even more vividly of the fact that none of us got here alone and none of us could do what we do here without the help of others. So thank you to those who've supported you, and congratulations to all of you. Mr. Sterling.
We will close in just a minute. The faculty will process down there. The students will come down afterwards, and we'll congratulate you once more down there. And then we're going to have a lunch and a toast in the Levin Hall atrium, and all of you here are invited to join us for that. And now I will join Mr. Carl and everyone else on the faculty and in our community in congratulating you all, and this is the big congratulations. Congratulations.